Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Kenneth Ro. Kenneth is an MD for many years, and he's also the creator of the Reclaim Method. It has a lot of neat stuff going on. Kenneth, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Can you let our listeners know a little bit about you and a little bit about what it is you're doing these days?
Well, appreciate you having me on, Nick. Short story, I'm ER doctor for 35 years, plus I'm still working in the ER. But I had my own health scare about 10 years ago, and really I started asking different questions. When I would see patients, obviously they come with heart attacks, strokes, trauma, tragic events. And, in my career, it became less about the diagnosis and more about, what got this person to this place today? Something happened over the past 5 or 10 years. You didn't just wake up one morning and say, this is the day to have a heart attack. Things have been building up for a while. So I really wanted to dig deep into that. Even as an ER doctor, I'm still extremely interested in the human body. That's my reason, one of the big reasons why I became a doctor in the first place. And, with all the new technology and all the new therapeutics that we have going on, is there a better way to really tackle this to where I'm really not seeing patients in the ER? That's my hope and my dream.
You're catching them way before. You're catching them 10 years out, or what? Somewhere to prevent. So, a meteor hitting you on the head is unlikely but unavoidable if it's coming down. But this cardiac and all that stuff definitely can take steps, right?
100%. It's so important, right, Nick? I mean, that's still the number one reason why, number one cause of mortality and death in Western civilization is cardiac disease. And, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Prevention is it's not done, right? Well, that's one of my big mantras is that, midlife is medicine's biggest blind spot. Because we take care of our kids, we take care of our geriatrics, which I will be in about 3 years. So I use that term very lightly and delicately. Sure. But in the middle, when things start to deteriorate, there's a change that occurs when everyone turns around 40 years old. Inflection point. Things kind of deteriorate, but in a very, very subtle way. It happens so subtly that you really don't perceive it, and a lot of times the tests don't really pick it up. You end up having these diagnoses as pre-diabetes or pre-hypertension. What if we start tackling this upstream rather than tackling it once it becomes a consequence? And the way medicine is geared these days, obviously, we wait for consequences. We wait for certain thresholds. We wait for certain numbers to be high to define what our treatment plan is going to be. And, Nick, that's just all based on an average, a big population, a lot of numbers. It's not based on you as an individual and your precise needs genetically, environmentally, and what you are. So, we want to bring the focus, or at least my mission is to bring the focus more to the individual. And so I am focusing on middle-aged men because that's the path that I took. So I think I can resonate with that easily. And there's a lot of misconception out there with treatment, particularly with testosterone hormones. Now everybody is talking about peptides, even though we've been using them for several years. So I wanted to get in that realm. And it's been very, very exciting, a little scary, for your entrepreneurial audience, and everybody probably listening is one on some degree. That leap of faith. Was not easy, but I certainly wanted to share my experiences with your audience as regards to that as well.
Well, what a great story you have that you've lived it. You're a physician that knows the book smart part of it and the experience part, but you've also been the patient side, it sounds like, of some degree, to be able to bring that other point of view in as you're helping your clients or your patients work through this and optimize their health and longevity and quality of life going forward. So it sounds like a great confluence of different experiences that are coming together that I think are really going to benefit your people that are working with you. So that's awesome. So I'm sure there's a lot of competition to become a physician, and then in the entrepreneur world, and just a health world. What is something that sets you apart from others who may be trying to do something similar, or something along the same vein?
Yeah, my philosophy is I never denigrate anyone. I never, my mom told me, if you don't have something good to say about somebody, you don't say anything. And of course, these days it's just with the online and with the trolls, that sort of etiquette has just fallen by the wayside. I will say positive things about me. When you get your health information, or these days your knowledge, it's going to be mostly social media. And I've seen that trend. It does worry me. There's some AI that's mixed in it, which is not actually all bad. But you're seeing influencers that will they'll do an AI search, and all of a sudden they post it on Instagram, and they're experts on peptides, even though they haven't treated one patient with peptides. And if they did, then they're dancing a very serious line there. And so I really saw a gap, because there are not enough physicians in this space, and there are not enough physicians with the lived experience and the 35 years so of treating patients. And it's kind of funny when I see someone talking about longevity and they're 25 years old. On the one hand, it's like I applaud them, saying, this is great. You're jumping on this early in the game. It's kind of like investing, right? You start early, you're going to have those years of compounded interest. But I really like to back it. I like to put it on the opposite end of the spectrum. I really like talking to people who are 75 years old, 85 years old, 95 years old, that have lived through it. When you talk about longevity, why don't we talk about the people who have lived the longest, and get their wisdom, their experiences, and their knowledge. So the bridge that I'm trying to gap is that when you get older, you get better in so many different ways. There's such an adage that, aging is just inevitable. There are things that are just, you're not going to be able to do when you're 20. But my contention is that decline is optional. Mm-hmm. You can really get a hold of it and get on top of decline in a way that is just remarkable. Where, as when I talked about before, after 40, you're essentially talking about a floor and a ceiling that decreases. If you're fighting decline, you talk about raising your floor and elevating your ceiling. Your body's remarkable. It will do things. It will meet the challenge if it gets challenged. If it doesn't get challenged, then it's going to be use it or lose it. And that's essentially what my philosophy is about taking care of patients.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, you got to exercise the muscles, even if it's sitting down, standing up muscles, or walking muscles, or whatever your goal is at 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. You got to keep you can't decide you're going to start improving those muscles at 60 if you want to be there at 70. So that, at least that's my takeaway. I've done some of the research I've done is building the muscle, your bank of muscle up early, and keeping it there is important.
Absolutely. I mean, you're never too late to start. Sure. And that's another kind of negative self-talk that people have. I'm past my prime. It's too late. Let me just go with the flow. And it's so easy to not get started. But I really want to emphasize to everybody, it really is not too late to start. I mean, take a look at Jack LaLanne. He started early, but he just broke every ceiling, every age. We just had the 2-hour marathon that got eclipsed. That's something that hasn't been done before. So there are all sorts of negative constraints that people have about aging, and we just need to kind of take hold of our human body and mind and say, it's just a magnificent thing that we have in living. And the things that you can do, you never really thought you could do. And if you kind of push yourself just a little bit, you will be amazed at what kind of return on investment you get when you invest in your mind and your body.
No, well said. I think they go hand in hand, right? If you're improving your body, your mind's going to come up, and your mind and body's going to. I think they both start elevating each other.
I think that's a main point. That's a main point too, Nick, because a lot of people will not be interested in going to the gym and maybe not be interested in muscle, but everyone is very interested in their brain. Everybody is very interested in trying not to have cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great entry point for a lot of people to understand that the brain and the body are not separated. I mean, think about it. When do you have your best moments of inspiration? It's like a lot of times it's when you're walking, or maybe in the shower, mm-hmm. or maybe when you're just singing. But it's when you're doing something actionable that just creates that increased amount of blood flow in your brain. Something that's real interesting in the science that I'm working on. When we talk about use it or lose it, right? I mean, your brain and your body, it's like an ultimate second by second resource allocation. Your whole body and your whole brain is saying, all right, so what do I have resource wise, energy wise, blood flow wise to understand if I don't need to use this, then do I need to allocate this? It's like you're talking about a master, your body is a master CEO. And a lot of this goes on, without your conscious knowledge, because that's a good thing. You don't want to think about your liver or your kidney or your lung capacity. Your body handles that. But it does that in a very interesting fashion. If you're not using, say, your legs for a walk-in, or you're not pushing it, your body will actually start diminishing capillary blood flow, diminishing blood supply to that area in a very small way, but very subtle, to where, you're going to get the atrophy, you're going to get the decreased muscle, because it's like, well, I'm not getting that signaling that this is being used. So, might as well not use
somewhere else. Yeah. Resources somewhere else.
Yeah, your body does that. And, it can either be a positive thing or a negative thing. And what I want to stress to people is try to make it as much positive as possible.
No, very well said. What great points of view. So if someone's listening and wants to get better at doing something, physically or mentally, do you have any recommendations for them where they can start? I'm going to promote your book right here.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I appreciate that, Nick. Well, yeah, my book is called Prime, How to Win the Second Half of Life. And it is geared to everybody, but it is mostly geared to middle-aged men. It's also, I talk about my journey as well, from a child all the way through my age 62. So it's a good read. It's chapter by chapter. I like to read things that keep me engaged. So I really think I'm very happy with the way it came out. It's gotten good positive reviews as well. It details the reclaim method that I have for actually going step by step to achieving health. And there's little medical jargon in there, so it's not too scientific-y, so that everybody can follow. But essentially, the main thing is for our listeners is that if you start with a big picture in mind, it can be overwhelming. Everybody, we've heard all the cliches, right? I mean, the only way to the other side is through, feel the fear and do it anyway, or the obstacle is the way. All that is very true, right? I mean, 100% true. But if I'm sitting here, I'm overwhelmed, I'm tired, I'm fatigued, I don't really know where to start, I certainly don't want to get overwhelmed, because I'm not going to start. So, sure. It's really the small step. My recommendation is take one small step every day. Define what you want, take one, and ask yourself, what's one small step I can do today? And then try to do that as best you can. I don't like motivation. I don't like willpower. I like consistency, because you have to act your way into feeling. And if you start thinking about willpower or motivation, or you want that feeling to occur first before you do something, it's never going to happen. You'll just sit there, and that's just called, moment or inertia, right?
Yeah.
So, what's that little thing that you can do? And a lot of times, that little thing involves another person. It involves speaking with your spouse or with your son or your daughter, and just talking about what you see as far as your health. One question to ask your doctor too. Instead of asking your doctor, what do you think about my tests? Ask your doctor to think forward. Say, hey doc, how do you see me in 5 years? I guarantee your doctor has never entertained that question before. So it'll force him or her to kind of think and say, in a pragmatic way, well, let's come up with a game plan. We want you to be very healthy in 5 years. We want you to not be pre-diabetic, or we want you to be better controlled. So if you start kind of forward, future self-thinking, I think you become a lot more effective in achieving what you want to achieve.
No, good stuff. And I love to just take a step. You got to get that first step and get going, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the consistency, that talk about that a lot in my world in real estate, and I'm involved with a coaching group, is like the people that have success are those that are consistent and persistent. It's not rocket science, but it's just being consistent, showing up and keeping working. And when you get knocked down, getting back up and dusting yourself off, learning from what didn't go right that go around, and let's pick up. So I love just you got to get in the game to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are all sorts of studies that kind of back that up as well. One thing that's one of my favorite is, say you have a group of students and they're assigned a task. And one group, you have to make the perfect model before you can turn it in. And then the other group, it's like, well, you can do whatever you want, trial and error. You can come up with, lousy models, and, you don't have to come up with something perfect. And of course, counterintuitively, it's the ones that plan, that want to make things perfect. Those are the ones that end up with nothing, with a lousy model. It's the ones that want to trial and error, want to get messy, want to do things sloppily, want to just kind of maybe look bad, but at the end, those are the ones that end up achieving a beautiful model of what they want to do. So you take that into life as well. Mm-hmm. You want to, if you write, you want to put out that lousy first draft. Most people call it with an S and something else, but we'll keep it clean for our audience. So it's like that first try, you want it to be bad, because, if you were already perfect and you already knew what you're doing, then why even engage in doing this? Everybody starts out, everybody at the front of the line started out at the back of the line. So, you just have to do it, learn from it, keep moving. And like I said, you just keep flexing forward.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. I mean, it's learning, because you're eliminating those processes that don't work by getting started, and just, kind of chipping them away and getting a little better each time. Well, what's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your path to where you're at now?
Well, I think the biggest challenge was probably my own fear. I've got this trajectory of an ER doctor. I've been a medical director for 20 years. I have I'm very comfortable in that lane. And also, feel very fulfilled for what I do. Emergency medicine is exciting. You're saving lives. It's got a lot of things that appeal to what I like to do and help people. But I think my biggest obstacle was trying to, listening to that voice in my head that said, you really could do more to help people by preventing people from even coming in the ER. How's an ER doctor going to make that switch and just say, hey, we're trying to keep people out of the ER because we really want to do prevention. We really want to do proactive medicine. We want to really do precise medicine, help people as an individual, not as a group or a population. So kind of making that, let me tell you, Nick, this has been like an 8-year process. This is not something that I just decided I'm going to do, and all of a sudden it's like I'm successful, wrote a book, that kind of stuff. And, I think with most people, that's the way it usually is. There are no overnight successes.
You took that step that we
I took the step. I took the step. Yeah. And, that along came with a lot of a lot of consternation. I'm totally out of my comfort zone, but there was that burning desire that really kept me going, that really just said, just go for it. Because, at the end of the day, when you look back upon your life, you don't want to have regrets and say, well, you had a comfortable career, but, what if you took this other step to really help other people? Because that's what you really wanted to do. So, I don't care if I'm a failure, a success. I mean, I feel like I'm a success for just getting this process going, so.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, congratulations. Sounds like things are going real well. And, so a lot of people start seeing different success in different areas. They may start thinking about other areas they can invest in or place money into alternative investments. Have you ever had any thoughts on investing things where you don't have to apply your time to have that mailbox money coming in?
Yeah, something, Nick, it's kind of funny that you even mentioned that, because kind of a definition of success is just being open to opportunities and being open to have communication and being a little bit vulnerable to speak with people. So it's been really surprising over the past less than 1 year, the networking, the contacts that I made. Initially I'm kind of shy in my lane because as an ER doctor, I didn't have to look for patients. I didn't have, they came to me. But it is just so, I would say one thing, it certainly accelerates your mindset to find your tribe. If you find people that are interested in what you're interested, and there are a lot of people interested in any space that you are innately interested in. If you find your tribe, then your network expands, and it is like a flywheel. Next thing you know, there are all sorts of opportunities that come, and the right people just come to you. It really is. I don't know. I mean, you really feel like it's a force of the universe or something like that. But it really is. It's kind of a numbers game, essentially. You put something out there, you show people that you care, you feel like you have something that you're offering to this world, and there are a lot of people that you're going to resonate with. Yeah,
no, exactly. So that's awesome. Well, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months that you can share with us?
I do. I'm expanding my practice. I want to expand it out to more people, and I certainly want to after 6 months or so, I want to incorporate women into my practice. I've actually treated more women than men over the years, but I wanted to start with my niche and then expand outward. But I've really gotten a lot of positive response, and I've treated my own wife and family members, and positive responses. And I don't know, Nick. I mean, women are just so more. They're so more engaged. I mean, a guy, you have to a lot of times you have to drag him in, kicking and screaming.
Hit us on the head. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Stubbornness, machismo, the ego gets all into that. Women are a lot more open-minded. So I certainly would like to have that kind of energy in my practice.
I have 3 daughters. I have to.
I got you. Yes, sir.
So I've got 4 women I'm constantly dealing with. No, I'm blessed by all.
Man, lucky you. Yeah. You're blessed.
Awesome. Well, Kenneth, thank you so much for your time today and sharing lots of great information with our listeners. If people would like to learn more about you, learn more about your book or your product, what's the best way for them to get in contact or reach out to you?
Yeah, I think the best is my central website, and it's my name at www.kennethromd.com. And the Ro is spelled R-O. And also that will give you some information about my book, which is available on Amazon. That's called Prime, How to Win the Second Half of Life. And also my practice is www.backinthegamemen.com.
Awesome. Great stuff. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us today. I've already got your book on my wish list on Amazon, so it's in there. It'll be one of the next ones I have on my purchase list. So I'm excited to listen to it, or not listen, read it, whichever platform I choose. But thank you again, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Flex Forward podcast. And Kenneth, what a great episode. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Nick. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.